1.
And we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office. Before we bring our guest on, Secretary of State Brian Kemp, before we bring him on here, this commercial right now, we're going to play this commercial. Jake, we call it, I think it's called Jake. A lot of pro Second Amendment, very happy with it. A lot of people also upset with it. Little controversial. We'll see. Let's play the commercial, see what you think.
I'm Brian Kemp. This is Jake, young man interested in one of my daughters.
Yes, sir.
Jake asked why I was running for governor. I said, 1,
Cap government spending.
2,
Take a chainsaw to regulations.
3,
Make Georgia #1 for small business.
and 2 things if you're gonna date one of my daughters.
Respect,
And
a healthy appreciation for the Second Amendment, sir.
we're gonna get along just fine.
Brian Kemp for governor.
Okay, we're back. Mr. Kemp, are you with us?
I'm with you. Good morning, Brian. How you doing?
I am doing absolutely great this Monday morning. Now let's get right into that commercial. You have not in the 5 candidates. You have not been endorsed by the NRA, but do you have an A rating with the NRA?
Oh yes, absolutely. Have had for years, and got a very strong voting record when I was in the legislature for 2 terms back in the early 2000s before returning to the private sector, and have been a supporter as the Secretary of State and also a long-time member of the NRA. I'll have to tell you, I was very disappointed with the way they've handled the governor's race with so many pro-Second Amendment candidates in the race, but that's part of politics, and when you're the special interest candidate, you get special interest treatment. But I personally think that's what people are sick of, so I'll take my A rating and the Jake commercial and let people know not only am I a strong supporter of the Second Amendment, but I advocate for it, and I'm also been a small business owner for over 30 years.
Well, you said special interest candidate, you get special interest support. I'll say that, and let me just say, Casey Cagle, candidate, Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle has received the NRA's endorsement. You wrote a scorching letter that you sent our office to the NRA. Not taking them really to task, just saying that they had been Casey Cagle was your point, and he did get the endorsement. But let's go to this commercial here. First of all, for our viewers, is Jake really someone that would like to date your daughter?
Well, Jake is definitely someone, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did want to date one of my daughters. They're fine young ladies, and I've been sticking up for them for a long time, and I'm doing that in this commercial. And I think most normal Georgians understand that that's part of our values and our way of life here in the great state of Georgia. And unfortunately, there's some people from New York, California, and Massachusetts that don't see it that way. But I'm not running to please them. I'm running to please and earn the support of the great folks of this state of Georgia.
Well, I enjoyed the commercial. I got to be candid. I enjoyed the commercial, and I thought it was well done, and I probably understand it much better than I should. Yeah. you know what I mean. So anyhow, let's move from that to the Cagle campaign says mathematically they know that there's going to be a runoff. Mathematically, there's not the 50% plus 1 vote to clear the primary and go right into the general. It looks as though, no disrespect to the polling or what we're hearing, is that you would need to now position yourself for that second spot to be in the runoff. Did this ad, do you have any internal polling? How did this ad help your campaign in these last couple of weeks? Do you have any internal polling of what this ad did for your campaign, possibly?
Well, first of all, before I get into the ad and polling and all of that, I think it's very interesting that the Cagle campaign, after telling people for a year and telling their supporters that they were going to win without a runoff, they're now getting ready for a runoff. And not only that, his shady money super PAC is going to try to decide who gets to be in second place. And it's like I told a group of people Saturday morning at a breakfast up in Cobb, the people of Georgia decide that, not some super PAC that's using dark money to support the special interest candidate. But on the other side, I mean, I've been just all along wanting to be one of the top 2 vote getters on May 22nd. We're working hard every day to do that so we can get in the runoff. You know, when you had at 1.7 candidates running, now 5, it's very hard to win outright. And I'm a realist, and that's how I've been with the people of this state. And that's what we're playing to right now. I'll tell you this: I have not seen polling. Our ad's only been in the field for a little over a week, so it's just now getting to reach critical mass with the number of people that have seen it. But the reaction that I've gotten on the ground has just been overwhelming. You know, despite some of the criticism and the trolls that we have, most of them from who are outside Georgia, that on social media, you know, I've been everywhere from Savannah as far north as Ball Ground and Dalton. I've been to Gainesville. I was in Atlanta at a gun show this weekend, at a GOP event, walking door to door in Cobb County. I mean, just all over the place. And people love the ad. They understand the humor behind it, and they get the point of what the ad's doing. That's what just drives the left crazy, because they see a gun, they completely forget the message of the ad, which is a strong support for the Second Amendment, you know, teaching our young people right and wrong. And, you know, Jake is talking about my 4-point plan, making Georgia #1 for small business, taking a chainsaw to government regulations, implementing a spending cap so we budget conservatively and have tax reform for everybody. And, you know, they just completely miss the point, because they just get outraged when they see some sort of firearm.
You said, and I don't want to misquote you because I don't remember exactly, but something like dirty, dark money super PAC trying to influence now who is going to be the second. Are you saying that now that the Cagle campaign knows that mathematically there will be a runoff, that they're trying to put efforts in this dark money, as we say, put efforts into maybe positioning who they get to run against in the primary?
Yes, that's exactly right, and they've admitted that themselves. I mean, there was an article in the Atlanta paper, the Political Insider, that I believe Greg Bluestein wrote on Friday or one day last week. Basically, he was talking to somebody at the super PAC, and that's what they were saying. They're trying to figure out, you know, who they want to go after to try to shape the race for second. I just think that's, you know, the people of Georgia are tired of that kind of inside baseball politics and career politicians. They're ready for somebody that's going to put Georgians first ahead of those special interests, and that's what my whole campaign has been based on. And I think, as much as anything, as good as the ad was, the way I pushed back against the left, you know, post ad, and didn't back down to them wanting me to take the ad off the air and all that such foolishness, it just shows people that I'm going to stand up for them, and I'm going to stand up for our values in our state. And just like I've done as Secretary of State. And the thing that people need to look at is the record in this race. You know, who do you trust to actually do that? And I have a record of doing that when I was in the legislature. And I've certainly had a record of that as Secretary of State, suing the Obama Justice Department twice to implement our citizenship check, to defend our common sense photo ID law when you go vote, and standing up to George Soros-backed liberal groups that have come after the way that we think we should run elections in Georgia. And I haven't backed down yet, and I'm not going to, and I will not as governor.
Well, I want to say something. I want to move along. I know you got a busy day campaigning, and we'll let you tell us where all you're at today and what's happening this week. But I got 2 more things I really want to get before we go. The back to the NRA, an A rating there with the NRA. You were a state senator, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And at that time, as a state senator, you had an A rating with the NRA?
I did, yes.
Okay. And as Secretary of State, you still, when you're running for statewide office, you fill out the survey for the NRA. So you basically have always had that A rating. I'm going somewhere with this.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. And I've been. It's kind of interesting too. I actually beat a liberal Democrat that the NRA did the same thing, playing politics with their endorsement, and endorsed my opponent, and I still beat him. So I'm planning on doing that again this year.
Well, the reason being is you have. We have asked all the candidates for their NRA survey. We have only received your survey and Hunter Hill's survey. Now, last week the other candidates have not sent their surveys to us. So I've read your entire survey you sent in, and also Hunter Hill's. But there was a time previously where Hunter Hill did have and I want to put him into the race too, because right now there's a lot of talk that the number 2 spot is between you and Hunter Hill. And he did have a C rating, and last week on this show, he explained that he accidentally or misunderstood a question on the questionnaire, and he did get a C rating, but it's now up to an A, his current one. So I just wanted to bring that to light. How do you feel about where you're at with the Hunter Hill campaign? Because that seems to be where that second slot lies.
I think we're in great shape. I mean, we've been in second place this whole race. We remain in second place now, despite the Hill campaign saying, 3 weeks ago that they were polling at 17%. And the last poll that came out, they were behind us, and we were at, I think, in the low teens or something like that. So their polling has obviously been off. They haven't released the questions or the crosstabs. And quite honestly, we didn't start spending our money till a little over a week ago, which I've been in enough of these statewide races to know you got to hold your money till the end when people are paying attention. And that's what we've done. And we came out with a bang, as you could say, with our Jake ad, and it's getting great play. And we're just, we want to be peaking at the end, and that's what we're doing right now, Brian.
All right, last thing. So I know you got to go. This is an area in the campaign that a lot of people don't bring up, and to me it just is not. It doesn't sound attractive. But this morning we're looking at a judge that actually was appointed by Ronald Reagan. That has come out and Friday made some comments concerning the Mueller special counsel. Not to go into that, but the judge that made those comments last Friday, Judge Ellis III, actually was appointed by Ronald Reagan in 1987. Where I'm going with that, the state of Georgia, the governor Governor Deal has going to have an influence on the courts for years. For years to come, decisions will be made that where Governor Deal appointed the judge. Superior Court, Appeals Court, if they resign, and Supreme Court, there's a lot of judicial appointments as governor you get to make. How conservative, how can you guarantee, will you guarantee the people that the judges that you appoint as governor, if you're governor, will be conservative judges and not liberal activists?
Well, I think, Sam Alito, Justice Scalia, Clarence Thomas, that'll give people a pretty clear picture of the kind of judges that I would be looking for on our courts. And I'm glad you brought this up, because that is a great question to talk to people about, and something that people don't think about. It's one reason that I voted for and worked so hard for John McCain, even though I was not excited about him as our nominee. I felt like we needed someone more conservative, but certainly compared to Barack Obama, if for nothing else, we needed to support McCain because the Supreme Court justices and other appointments that he makes to the court. That's one of the greatest things about Donald Trump. His judicial appointments, the 2 federal prosecutors that we have in Georgia right now, Bobby Christine and B.J. Pack. I know both of them very well. They're going after gangs. They're going after criminal illegals. I have 2 plans to mirror that as governor that will help our state mirror what they're doing at the federal level. Those are the kind of things where we really need a conservative leader that will fight for conservative judges on all areas of our court, starting at the lowest level on up. And I will say this, I think Governor Deal's made some great appointments over the years that's going to have a lasting impact on our state in a very positive way, and I will certainly continue that as governor.
Okay, where is the Kemp campaign today? Where are you guys going to be all week? And, what's going on in the campaign this week?
Well, I'm actually sitting at the dry cleaners right now in Athens. I had a very busy week last week. I was gone all day Saturday, all day yesterday. I was at a big church service yesterday in Middle Georgia, and actually my wife and I were putting signs up as we were going home, and so I need to get some stuff to the dry cleaners, and then I'm headed to Atlanta. We have a big event tonight at the Braves Stadium, a big fundraiser. I got several interviews today, and I'm on the phones, and then I'll be back in Athens tonight. We've got a big thing with the tax commissioners tomorrow, big conference where we're speaking there, and then I head to South Georgia for fundraising events in Savannah and down in other parts of South Georgia, and to be headed back on Thursday evening. So we're all over the place, north, south, east, and west. The only candidate in the state that's been to all 159 counties, and now we're going back to all of them in this campaign to put Georgians first.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Kemp. We wish you well this week as you're out there campaigning in these last couple of weeks. Thank you for being on the show.
All right, thanks, guys. We'd love to have your vote and support. For more information, go to kempforgovernor.com. Thanks, and have a great day.
Thank you, sir. Okay, our guest, Brian Kemp, Secretary of State, Georgia Secretary of State, Republican primary candidate. And you heard here that it is heating up to where things are being said, where the number 2 slot, the dark super PAC, dirty money, trying to position the number 2 candidate to run against Casey Cagle. Interesting. We're going to take a brief break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the Georgia race and then start getting into some more of our national news. Take us to break, man.